All right, folks, gather around. We're about to embark on a journey through the intricate maze of campaign finance. Tonight, we're diving into the wild, wacky world of campaign finance. It's a topic that might seem dry at first glance, but trust me, it's full of twists and turns. Buckle up because this is going to be a bumpy ride. The rules and regulations can be as unpredictable as a roller coaster. We're talking about Title 11 of the United States Code, the section that deals with federal elections. This is the legal backbone of how campaigns operate. Think of it as the rule book for how political campaigns can raise and spend money. Just like in sports, these rules are crucial for fair play. Sounds boring? Well, it's about as exciting as watching paint dry, but it's actually super important. These regulations ensure that everyone plays by the same rules. Why? Because without rules, the game gets rigged. Imagine the chaos if there were no guidelines to follow. Imagine a football game where one team could pay the referees or buy unlimited touchdowns. Not exactly fair, right? The same principle applies to elections. That's why we have rules in sports, and that's why we need rules in elections. These rules are the whistleblowers that keep the game fair. Title 11 tries to level the playing field by setting limits on contributions, requiring transparency in spending, and providing some public funding for campaigns. These measures are designed to prevent any one candidate from having an unfair advantage. It's not perfect, but it's a start. By understanding and following these rules, we can work towards a more equitable and transparent electoral process. So, let's dive deeper and see how these regulations shape our democracy. So, why all the fuss about campaign finance? Well, elections cost money, lots of money. From organizing rallies to running advertisements, the expenses can quickly add up. And the more money involved, the bigger the risk of corruption. When large sums of money are at play, it becomes easier for wealthy individuals and corporations to exert undue influence. Imagine a politician who relies on donations from a few wealthy individuals or corporations. These donors often expect something in return for their financial support. Who do you think they're going to listen to when it comes time to make important decisions? The average voter or the wealthy benefactors who funded their campaign? That's right, the folks who lined their pockets. This creates a system where the interests of the few outweigh the needs of the many. Campaign finance regulations are designed to prevent this kind of quid pro quo corruption. They set limits on how much money can be donated and require transparency in reporting contributions. They aim to ensure that elections are decided by voters, not by who has the biggest bank account. This helps to level the playing field and make the democratic process more fair. It's about making sure that everyone has a fair shot at running for office and that our elected officials are accountable to the people, not just their donors. By implementing and enforcing these regulations, we can work towards a more equitable and just political system for all. One of the key principles of campaign finance law is transparency. Transparency ensures that the democratic process remains fair and open, allowing citizens to trust that their votes are not being unduly influenced by hidden money. Sunlight, as they say, is the best disinfectant. Just as sunlight can cleanse and purify, transparency in campaign finance can help prevent corruption and undue influence in politics. That's why campaigns are required to disclose their finances. This requirement is not just a formality, it is a critical component of maintaining the integrity of our electoral system. This means they have to report who's giving them money, how much they're giving, and the sources of these funds. This level of detail helps to ensure that no single entity can unduly influence a candidate or an election, and how they're spending it. By tracking expenditures, we can see if campaign funds are being used appropriately and ethically. This information is then made public, accessible to anyone who wishes to review it. This openness is a cornerstone of a healthy democracy, so anyone can see where the money is coming from and where it's going. This transparency allows for greater accountability and helps to build public trust in the electoral process. It's like a giant financial peep show, but instead of sweaty bodies, you get to see spreadsheets. Thrilling, right? While it may not be as exciting as a blockbuster movie, this transparency is vital for informed voting. This transparency is crucial because it allows voters to make informed decisions. When voters know who is funding a campaign, they can better understand the motivations and potential biases of the candidates. If a candidate is being bankrolled by a special interest group, voters have a right to know about it. This knowledge empowers voters to hold candidates accountable and ensures that elected officials represent the interests of the people, not just a select few. Now, let's talk about contribution limits. These are caps on how much money individuals and organizations can donate to candidates and political committees. Why do we need these limits? Well, think of it like this. Imagine if only billionaires could afford to run for office. Not exactly a recipe for a representative democracy, is it? Contribution limits are there to prevent wealthy donors from having an outsized influence on elections. They help to level the playing field and ensure that everyone has a voice. Now, these limits aren't perfect. There are always loopholes and workarounds. But they're a step in the right direction.